Hello everyone. I created this video because I couldn't find a tutorial on installing a canyon cage for the Concours 14. First off, I want to apologize because it was my first time using my Nikon DSLR camera for video, and I probably should have done a little bit of experimenting prior to shooting the video. I learned a few things creating it that I wish I would have known prior to starting this project. Some of the scenes are out of focus in the beginning, and overall the audio isn't very good. Unfortunately, it will probably be a long time before I install another canyon cage on a 2008 Concours 14. So I won't be remaking this video anytime soon. I do want to point out before you get into this project that step 16 in the instructions should be completed after step 11. This kind of screwed me up a little bit, and I had to do some backstepping throughout the project. Also, step 32 recommends a thread sealant such as Vibratite. If you're like me and don't read the directions until you're halfway through the project, then this will probably be helpful to you. Any constructive feedback is appreciated. While the quality isn't the best, I believe I covered all the major issues with the install. I know the video is a little long. You can skip around, see if there's some things that help you, other things you probably don't need to know. As long as this video helps somebody, I'll be happy. Okay, so according to directions, step 1, remove the glove box cover. This guy here. It's going to be these two screws right there. Alright, step 2. Starting on either side of the dash, remove the 3 visible screws holding the black plastic panel to the upper fairing. 12-volt power that I added. My own personal garbage. 1, 2, and 3. It is not necessary to remove the entire black plastic panel. I don't know what they want me to do with it, but okay. Step 3. Starting on the right side of the bike, remove the heat deflector from the trailing edge of the fairing vents. Assume they mean this guy here. It'd be this guy and that guy there. Okay, so step number 4. Remove all visible hardware holding the large painted upper fairing piece with the vents, the large black lower fairing piece, the painted forward piece with the turn signal, and the U-shaped black plastic trim piece which connects the right and left fairing sides together at the lower front. Do not try to remove the fairing pieces at this point as they are connected together on the inside. That was a mouthful. I am going to start with this guy here. So, let's see here. I'm going to have to move the camera around a little bit. I am going to start with this piece right here. So I'm going to take this guy out, that guy, this guy, that guy, and then we got to come back over here and take these couple out here.
Okay, next I'm going to take this guy, and that guy out. Which I already got that guy. Hello again, everyone. My camera died yesterday, so I called it an evening and quit working on this project. It's a little chilly this morning, and I have the heater running, so I apologize for any background noise that might be getting picked up by that. I really wanted to show you this little quick trick to get this out of here. Yesterday we were working on getting that top black piece of plastic off. This has got one of those little plastic secure pop. I don't even know what they're called, to be honest with you. Usually you have to take the windshield off to get at it. I just take a Allen wrench, I get in there, and I just give it a little push. And sometimes it stays in, sometimes it comes out. That releases the plastic. And as you can see here, this piece is now loose. Now, like I said, in the instructions, they didn't specifically say that we have to take this off, but figure what the heck. It's probably in the way anyways. So yesterday we were removing these side panels right here, so I'm going to continue working on that. They said to remove all visible screws, so okay, so we have step 5. Remove the large upper painted fairing piece with the vents. Okay, let's see if we got all the hardware out to take that off. Sure enough, look at that. Step 6. Remove the stock 6mm bolt holding the painted forward fairing piece to the frame. What's that guy there? Okay, so we're on step 7, which is literally repeat steps 3 through 6 on the opposite side of the bike. So on the left side of the bike, I'm going to be going through the same steps. I'm actually going to leave this piece on this time just because I want to see. I'm sure I didn't need to take it off. I could have probably just left it on there. But yeah, so let me fly through this and we'll get going on the next step. Did I forget anything? Find out. There you go. So here we are. Step 8. Starting on the left hand side of the bike, loosen but do not remove the 12mm flange nut, 17mm socket, in the recess just below the tire and load data sticker on the side panel. Okay, so we're supposed to loosen but not remove. That's the tire and data information. Right there's that flange nut. And I'll actually take you in for a closer look at it. There it is. That's what the flange nut looks like. So, we're going to take that guy off. Throw you back in the tripod here. Sorry about the bouncing around a little bit there. And I opted for, which I probably didn't need to do, but I opted for a heat well because of the next step. So, this is that. Step 9. Remove your socket wrench handle and reposition the socket on the flange nut. Tap gently with a soft hammer to loosen it partially and drive the motor mount bolt out the opposite side of the bike. Remove the nut and withdraw the bolt completely. So that's why I went with the D weld, because I knew I had to use a wrap tap tap. Okay, so drove it in. I stopped filming there because I got confused for a second. That's the guy on the left side that we're pounding out. And that's the guy on the right side, which didn't really look like a bolt to me. But I suppose it's just an engine bolt, you know. So, that's what I'm supposed to be removing right now. And it confused me. So, let's see what we can do here. Okay, focus here, there we go. I drove that nut out, the bolt out. You can see in there, there's actually quite a bit of thread on that flange nut before it comes off. I didn't realize that it had that much, so make sure you back it out enough. What I did is I took it off and then I threaded it back on about 2-3 turns, and then gave it a whack to get it out there. Okay, I'm still not able to grab that thing, so I'm going to try to stick this guy in here. Let's see if I can coax it out of there, which seems to be working. There we go. Came out. Okay, so step 10 was remove. We did step 9, then for some reason in step 10 they have us moving to the right side and removing the motor mount, which we did in step 9, so we're okay there. Okay, so the next step confused me because I missed a couple vital screws, and I'm going to show you right now. Well, they said to remove all visible screws. I did on the outside. What I did miss, though, which, there we go, is in here, is 1, and then 2. And it's going to be the same on the other side. We got 1, and I believe, 2 down there. It's a little dark, and I apologize for that. So, oops. I'm going to jump and grab those out right now. Okay, so now this plastic should be ready to drop. I think I'm just going to leave it like this for now. Doesn't seem to be hurting anything, and it looks like I might be able to get at everything I need to get at. We'll see. Take a look at the directions, see what we got to do next. Okay, so we're on to step 11. Now there's a couple notes here. Note number 1, you may need to use a breaker bar to remove the stock 10mm socket flange head bolt in the following step due to the thread locker used by Kawasaki. Note number 2, the bars shown in the following illustrations are not 14400, but the brackets and hardware are identical. Remove the stock 8mm, this is step 11 now, so remove the stock 8mm hex head bolt from the location shown in illustration A, feature 1. and the 10 millimeter socket head bolt from the location in illustration A feature 2. So, okay, so along with the directions are these illustrations. So let me focus in on here, and I'll actually be keeping a. What I'll do is I'll scan these in and I'll put a link in the description for them. But yeah, you can see they're pointing out feature 1, feature 2. In these, there is some sort of canyon cage type bars here, but so these are already installed and they're showing us on top of that what's going on here. So let's see if we can find these couple of bolts and get them out. Okay, so here's our bolts. 8 millimeter hex on top there, 10 millimeter Allen on the bottom. They say that 10 millimeter on the bottom is going to be a bear, so see what we can do with it. Okay, so get this top hex here. I'm actually gonna go after it with my cheap piece of crap impact. See if we can knock it loose that way. They warn you about that thread locker that they got in there, but boy, that popped right out. The second one, I'm going to go against the grain here, and instead of using a breaker barrel, once again I'm going to use my impact with a Allen socket on it. That was a piece of cake. Now, there's warnings all over the internet about this bolt being a huge pain in the butt to get out. Maybe I got lucky, maybe it was because I used the impact, but it came out no real issues. I didn't even feel like I was going to have an issue with it. So maybe the impact's the way to go, maybe I got lucky. Each bike's going to be different. Okay, so we're into step 12. Starting on the right side of the bike, which we're on already. Put the large upper painted fairing piece back in place, secure loosely with one stock 6 millimeter button head bolt just below the fuel tank. There we go. Securing loosely. Okay, so we are on to step 13. Maneuver the right side guard into position by carefully guiding the front mounting bracket through the second fairing vent from the top. First thing we gotta do is remove these two bolts here, or else you're never gonna fit it through there. Okay, there we go, we got two bolts out. Set those aside here. Longer one goes to that guy, shorter one back here. Opens up. They call this the S bracket. Now, we're going to finagle this guy through here. Like so. Now, again, a lot of reading online. I know guys are cutting their plastic, probably right here. I hope I'm on film. Probably right there, so you don't have to take this apart. I thought about doing the same, but I figure I can do it after I mount it all. I'm not sure where this goes, so take a look at the directions and get back to this. Okay, so we're going on to step 14, which you're going to probably watch me struggle with. Should be fun. Yes, I said that sarcastically. Rotate the guard into position while holding the guard away from the fairing as far as the forward mounting bracket will allow. Then we go to step 15 right away, which is simultaneously insert the new rear motor mount bolt into position from where you remove the factory bolt in step 10 while guiding the guard into its final position. There is a note here that says it is extremely important to verify that the threaded end of the bolt protrudes approximately 5/8 of an inch beyond the outside recess opening on the left-hand side of the bike. If it does not, withdraw the bolt slightly, turn it in either direction slightly, and then reseat the special hex section into the corresponding cavity. That's a lot. So, here's our new engine bolt. Let's see, yep, there we go. And it is hexed on this end, so I'm assuming when I get that through, gotta make sure that that fits into the proper cavity. So here we go. Let me struggle away with this and see what we can do. So, there she goes. So there we go. The plastic is nice and loose here. I know there's a button right there. So now, insert the new rod, and we're supposed to feel some hexing going on in there. We'll take a look at the other side and see how that looks. Okay, when they said that it should be protruding 5/8 of an inch past, sorry. That. There we go. I've fiddled with this thing for a few minutes now, and the best I can get is about a 1/2 inch. So we're going to say a 1/2 inch is okay. Let's see what happens. Okay, before proceeding to step 16, we have a little note. It says, before proceeding to the next step, it is important to use a 10mm by 1 1/4 spiral tap to clear any remaining factory thread sealant from where you remove the factory hardware in step 11. Not following this instruction may result in cross-threading or stripping the new hardware. Well, that's easy enough to do, but I want to say that that step would have been better processed around step 11 rather than after I get all the bracketry and the side panel back on. It would have been a lot easier to do it as step 12 rather than as step 16. But nonetheless, we'll get that taken care of. I gotta say, this is kind of annoying that they did this to me, or anybody actually, because this would have been a lot easier to do at step 11. I'm quite sure if I'm going to be able to do it without taking the whole thing back apart. Which it looks like that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to take the whole thing apart to run that threading through. It's just going to be easier, I think. Sad, but easier. Okay, so here we are back at step 1. And now I can actually get at that. Run my threader through. Which is not in an easy location even for tapping it out. I can't actually put a handle on my thread guide. So it's a little nerve-wracking because, oh yeah, there's a lot of crap in there. They were right about that. But yeah, this have been step 12. Okay, well this is going to be a boring part of the video, so I'll go ahead and get back to you when I'm done with this. Okay, so I actually went through and ran the tab through like they recommended. As you can see, I had to take everything off to do it. And it's kind of deep in there, so what I did is I threw an extension, 1/4 inch extension in here. Threw that on top there. I went finger tight. I'd take this, give it about a half turn or so, back it out. Just gotta be careful because with this you get a lot of wobble. You want to make sure you're running that straight. So yeah, I'd go half turn, back it out, blow it out. Same thing over and over. Took me about 15 minutes to get through it. Now the upper one also had a bunch of garbage. The lower hole goes all the way through. So you can run this in until you can reach around the back and you can feel it, you know, and everything's moving loosely. I took what they have for the new bolts and threaded it in there without issue. The upper one does not go through. So you run into the back. I ran an 8 by 1 1/4 tap in and out of there a little bit, blew it out a little bit just to clean because I don't have the original bolt over here, but the original bolt had a bunch of I wouldn't say it was the thread lock like what was on the lower bolt, but it's still, maybe it was an anti-seize or something, but nonetheless there was something on it. Ran it in and out carefully. I didn't want to go all the way through the back or anything, so and then I threaded in the new bolt to make sure that I could get in there. So now I'm going to put it all back together, get back to where we were. Okay, so I am on to step 16. Install a new 10mm by 70mm socket head bolt with stock washer and a new 8mm by 30mm flange head bolt with stock washer. From where you remove the stock hardware in step 11, tighten loosely. Okay, so I took out the single bolt that was holding the front plastic up, and while tricky, it looks like I should be able to get these bolts in place. Stuck a universal in there and just kind of ran it through the threads. They say to install it loosely, so I'm just going to back it out a little bit now. I really don't like the pressure on the plastic here, but that's what you're going to have to do, I guess, if you don't want to cut it. All I'd have to do is cut this piece out right here, that little piece, and I'd be able to slide this whole thing out. And I pretty much guarantee I will end up doing that for maintenance purposes. So, alright, let's find out what the next step is. I was actually able to turn the heat off. Kind of nice. Where are we? We are on step 17, moving to the left side of the bike, which we already have. While being careful not to change the position of the protruding bolt, which is actually not protruding right now. Apparently I pulled it back. I'll push it back through in a second. We're talking about that guy right there. We are going to 1.56 spacer into the recess. Oh, into the recess with its counter bore facing outward. All right, let me go get that bolt back in there and we'll do this next step. Okay, so this guy here, let me see if I can focus in on that. We're going to stick that right down in there. So what I'm going to do is reach around the other side, slide that guy on there. Okay, so we are on step 18. Remove the stock 8mm and 10mm bolts from the same general position as the ones you removed in step 11. So guessing it's these two here. They don't specifically say. They say general position. That's a general position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the bracket for this side. We're going to take a look at the positioning of those holes, because those are quite a bit narrower. And yeah, those are the two that we're going to remove. Okay, so I'm doing here, I never took this one out. I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy out. And just let this kind of flop around here. It should be able to get me in there for what I need. Alright, I'm just going to hit this. That came out simple enough. And you can see a lot of crap on there though. Now I'm going to do the same thing with that lower one. So this is the one that everybody says it's just awful to get out. I didn't expect that. So apparently these are a little hard to get out. Like I said, I had no issues with the first one. You know what's fun about this? I'm probably going to take a bike right off its stand. Try some up motion. Yeah, it's turning. As though it doesn't break off in there. Okay, well, I loosened it. I'm going to run my air compressor. I'm going to hit it with the gun again. I'm just going to shut you guys off so you don't have to listen to it. Okay. Air compressor's done running. I'm going to hit it, and I'm sure it's going to fly right out because I already loosened it. Sure enough, look at that. Now this one, the other side didn't have this as much. Let me see. Oh, sorry about that. Why? Oh. Oh. Guess it doesn't want to focus on that. There we go. See the pink? That's, I'm assuming, what the big hubbub is about. Okay, so what I'm going to do, same thing as I did on the other side. I'm going to run my thread chasers through there, make sure everything's cleaned out, and then move on to the next step. Okay guys, so it's basically the same thing here. The upper hole does not go all the way through. Ran 8 by 1.25 thread chaser through it. Lower one goes all the way through. That one is a 10 by 125. The upper one, I'm not sure if I really needed to chase it. The lower one definitely needed to be chased. So if you guys go into this, you're going to want to make sure that you chase at least the lower one. The upper one, that's kind of up to you. You know, you can feel it with the... I chased both of them, but did I need to? Probably not. So now we're going to go on to the next step. Okay, so we are on to number 19. Maneuver the left side guard into position following a similar procedure as you did with the right hand side. Okay, so basically I am going to take these two bolts out, finagle this guy through the plastic, and get it set up like I did on the other side. Okay, so here I am. I got this side starting to go on. It's obvious to me that I have to get that engine mount bolt, this guy here, to stick through further. I guess I do have to get the 5/8. Okay, so I was wrong. That's as far as it needs to come through. It has this guy. Oh. And I apologize for my video focusing. I'm using a D3300 camera for video, and doesn't work very well with the autofocus, so I'm manually focusing it. So this guy actually slides in there. So my butt's gonna be in the way for this shot. Actually, let me just throw it in there quick. Show you what's happening here. Okay, so this is actually fitting physically inside there. So yeah, I got plenty of threading going on there. So let's see what the next step calls for. Okay, so let me make sure I got this all clear now. We are now going to install the new 8mm by 30mm flange head bolt with the stock washer and the new 10mm by 70mm socket head bolt with the stock washer from where you removed the stock hardware in step 18. Tighten loosely. Let's get that taken care of. I'm going to attack this guy from this hole. It looks reasonable. Let me see if we can get a shot of that. So I should be able to reasonably attack both of those from this hole here. Plastic looks like a mess, but this should work. And I'm kicking things. Okay, I got her finger tight-ish. Hopefully get that to balance. Go check out what the next step is. Okay, so we're on to 22. Install the S bracket. That's the part that came with it. With its attached spacer against the large mounting bracket. It's attached spacer. Okay. Against the large mounting bracket. Utilizing the hole at the lower end of the bracket as shown in illustration A, feature 3. Secure with a new, which came with 10 by 40 flange head bolt and a 3/8 USS flat washer. So I'm assuming that both of these are going to go in there on both sides. I'm just going to go ahead and put them both in. It's really going to be kind of hard for you guys to see. I'll try to give you an after shot of what's going on. Okay, I just want to point this out. The left side, I already put the S bracket in. The right side is basically the same bracket. Let me get focus here. Sure. Basically the same bracket, but two different size bolts. This side, and let's see if I can get a shot of it here. Okay, there. Okay, it doesn't show very well, but right here, and there goes my plastic again. Right here, that's a spacer right there. It's welded onto the bracket. The longer bolt has to go into that spacer. So that's just an FYI. Okay. So here is a shot of my S bracket installed on the right side. That's the side that had the spacer, which you can see right in here. That was step 22 and 23. 23 is secure the guard's lower mounting bracket into the S bracket using 10mm by 30mm flange head bolt 3/8 USS flat washer. Shown illustration A, feature 4. So both the left and right side S brackets are complete, and I'm going to be moving on to step 24, which is check clearances all around and tighten all hardware securely. So basically I'm going to start tightening things up and make sure everything fits correct. Let me take care of that and we'll get back to the next step. Okay, so let's see here. I just completed step 24, check all clearances all around and tighten all hardware securely. Not sure really how I was supposed to check the clearances because all the plastic's loose right now. So I did go around and tighten. They don't give any torque specs, so I went around and tightened them as tight as I think they should be. It's 4 bolts on each, 4 bolts on the right side and 5 on the left side. You have the 2 S bolts on the right side, and then you have those upper and lower bolts, the 8mm and 10mm. Then on the left side you have the same thing, 2 S bolts, and then the upper 8mm, lower 10mm in the front. But then you have the rear engine mount bolt that passes all the way through the back rear. Actually, let me show you that real quick, because I want you to see that there we go. Well, it threaded on quite a bit. It looks like the bolts or the nuts barely on. You got to remember that flanges into the canyon cage itself. So there's actually quite a bit of thread caught on that nut. Just looks like it's barely on there. So now that we got that done, we'll go on to the next step. Looks like I am putting my bike back together. Yeah, okay, so I don't think I need to record this part because step 26 through 29 is going to be putting the bike back together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the bike back together, and then I'll get back to you guys and we'll finish this little project off. Okay, so we got the last steps. Let's see here. We did the remaining fairing pieces. We tightened up all the S brackets, reinstalled the dash panels. Oh, gotta put my decorative cap on the right mounting bracket, make sure it's aligned. I'm gonna need a hammer. So I gotta put a piece of plastic in the right side of it with a hammer. Other than that, they recommend that you hold on to the stock hardware and recommend that we use, we recommend the use of a thread sealant such as Vibratite on all fasteners. That is the very last step in this project. Probably should be step 1. So, if you watch this video, unlike me, use some some sort of a thread sealant, such as Vibratite on all fasteners. Okay, back together. For the most part. I still need to put my battery in. Putting everything back together went as smooth as I can expect it to go. No leftover parts, so that's a plus. Everything looks fine. I mean, it looks good. I'm sure that I will be cutting the plastic next time I have to do maintenance on this bike. I can promise that, because I'm not going to take this canyon cage off just to get the side panel off. These do not need to come off. They were no trouble. Oop, looks like I forgot to tighten that up. But anyways, they were no trouble to work around. Let's see if we can get a shot of. Yeah, they're real low profile. They hardly stick out. Pretty nice looking. I put them on mostly because I need a set of highway pegs on this bike. My knees cramp up after long rides of 500 plus miles. So that's it. That's a complete canyon cage. Okay, I just wanted to go over the tools real quick. Your standard socket set, screwdrivers, Allen wrenches will get you through this project. Recommend that you do the thread chaser like they say in the instructions. I think it was super important that they put that in there. I'm glad they put it in there, because I wouldn't have done it without them putting it in there, and I probably would have mucked things up. So definitely chase those threads on that 10, on both those 10s. The 8s are optional. I did it. I probably didn't need to, but I did. T-handles, make sure you got a T-handle. The air, of course, was for blowing out after I cleaned the threads. But back to the T-handles, these will save you a lot of work rather than using your standard set. Also, I recommend you get the sockets. You're going to need them. You'll have to have that socket for this job, especially breaking those 10s loose. Breaker bar, downsizer, these three things together, you'll get that 10 out. If you have a better impact than I do, by all means, use the impact. You'll get it right out of there. Universal, it just comes in handy for tightening everything up. Flashlight for finding the parts you lost. The grabber for grabbing the parts you dropped. That's about it. Other than that, it's just standard tools. Use this guy to measure that bolt to make sure it's sticking out. Still only got a ½ inch out of it, but it works. Other than these tools, the only other thing I used was my camera and tripod. As far as time goes with this project, I would recommend that you set aside a full day to get it done and over with. I believe I took, I would say I was, with the filming, probably about 6 hours to complete the project beginning to end. You knew that was coming. Oh! You knew that was coming. Son of a... Decorative cap. Project complete.